While representing us at Tulsa, Oklahoma, she's also addressing gun violence in Wilmington and representing us in Milton, all up and down the state of Delaware. We are so excited to have our Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester. How are you, Congresswoman?
I am
Good morning.
well. Good morning.
Good
Good
to
morning
see
to
you.
both of you, and I'm so excited. Good morning, Wilmington.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dive right in.
Yeah.
You went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
How
yes.
was that?
Yes.
You know, it was a moving experience. You know, it's funny because a lot of times in this environment, things are so heavy. You know, we've been through a pandemic, you know, the murder of George Floyd, in addition to our own challenges right here in our state, and even an insurrection. And so there's a heaviness about the moment. And so I was invited as a member of the Congressional Black Caucus and also as a representative from Delaware to go and meet the survivors of the Tulsa Massacre, to meet their descendants, and also to meet the broader community. And I talk about the heaviness because at the same time there's this heaviness, there's also this inspiration. Seeing those survivors, 107 years old, 106 years old, and 100 years old, recounting what happened and just the past 100 years, and talking about with community members the future and where we can go. And also talking about repairing the breach. Many people know the scripture that talks about that. Well, a part of repair is reparation as well. And so even having conversations about that was really, really important. So I felt this solemnness and heaviness about being in that space, that space that was just so important, but at the same time inspired to do the work that's in front of us.
You know, one of the things that resonated with me watching you out there too, I immediately went to you and the scarf that your sister made. Can you talk to us about that real quick?
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting, many people might have seen the scarf that my sister Thea was able to take our great-great-great-grandfather's voter, you know, this thing that allowed him to have the right to vote. He marked an X on it. He was from Georgia. He was a, you know, former slave. But what was interesting on the other side of the family, my sister Thea had also found a photo of our great-grandfather, and we put it on a bag, and I carried that bag not knowing that that great-grandfather had actually, again from Georgia, was an entrepreneur, had done all these great things, and then was run out of his town, and at one point went to Oklahoma. I just learned that he had gone to Oklahoma, so we took that history with us, and I think it's just reminiscent of the fact that through all of these over 100 years, going back centuries, the generational wealth that could have been accumulated, like my kids are now entrepreneurs, but it took 4 generations for us to get back to that. And so even looking here in Delaware, you know, the newly launched Black Chamber of Commerce and the conversations about, in Tulsa, not only did they have the massacre where the bombs were dropped on American soil, on Americans, buildings were burned, including churches, but then they rebuilt, and then a highway came through their city, similar to Wilmington.
Yeah.
And so even talking about what we can do to repair that history right here at home and in other parts of the country as well. So I got a chance to have this time my great-great-great-grandfather with me in the scarf, but also my great-grandfather, my mother's father with us as well on the journey, and my daughter. I took my daughter with me because it was just in a special place, and I wanted to experience it with her, as well as Senator Coons was there on the trip with us as well, and the president.
Yeah,
I must mention.
Yeah,
he showed up too.
Delaware was representing very
Delaware
well.
was represented. Yeah.
I love that. So this dedication of the prayer wall, the church itself, because it was burned down to the basement. The church, it symbolizes resilience and hope. And right now with, you know, COVID, our nation right now, and especially some things that are taking place here in Delaware, having that symbol of hope, going throughout our community, it's so empowering. It's what we need right now to give us inspiration to do more, especially when we get into gun violence.
Yeah. And you just recently were a part of a rally addressing gun violence. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, to your point about that dedication in the wall, I think it is symbolic of, even as we try to address the issues of gun violence and violence in general, that at that dedication, it was interfaith and multi-generational. And the reality is, in order for us to deal with some of these challenges, we're going to have a broad base of support in terms of making change. And as you guys know, I was fortunate to serve as CEO of the Urban League here in Delaware years ago. And at that time, we then came up with the Hope Commission because we had seen an increase in the number of guns and gun violence, and that led to the Achievement Center. And today, as a member of Congress, I get a chance to vote on bills that deal with background checks to make sure that, and we passed that in the House, to close the Charleston loophole, which many may remember that church in Charleston where that guy came in and shot up members of the church. And this closes that loophole. We're able to pass these bills, but I'm also trying to find resources to bring to Delaware. So for example, we put in a request for us to focus on gun violence here in our state. Everything from the work with the hospitals, it's called a hospital intervention, to group violence interventions, to really just trying to find ways to support local communities. And right now I'm working on a major piece of legislation. Cory Booker is doing it on the Senate side, myself and Stephen Horsford on the House side, called Break the Cycle of Violence. And it is a comprehensive bill to really make sure that there are community-led and focused interventions, and that they're based on, the best evidence that's out there, the best practices that are out there. And so I'm really, I also added a piece to it that we hope to make sure stays included, that focuses on jobs, because that's my passion.
Yeah.
I was Secretary of Labor.
You're pushing for a committee too.
We got to keep that going. It's really important. So the work that's being done here with our General Assembly gives us hope. The community members that came out that day and that continue to be on the forefront and on the front lines gives us hope. And what I want to do is continue to make sure we support and those bills, that legislation that changes the laws, but also bring the resources here to Delaware so that we can deal with this issue, because it's Wilmington, but it's other parts of the state as well. And we just need to make sure we have a collective, an aggressive and comprehensive approach to dealing with violence.
Now, you were just recently advocating also for paid family leave.
Yes.
What can we as Delawareans do to help you with this initiative that you're pushing for?
Well, first of all, like I said, back to jobs. Like I just believe that people should be able to live their purpose. It could be a job, it could be as an entrepreneur. And so what we did this past week was we actually did like a little mini tour where we visited some of the small businesses, whether they were, a restaurant, a child care center, to talk about the caregiving economy. A lot of folks know that, without access to child care or elder care, or to be able to take care of a relative that has a disability, people can't go to work.
Right.
And so part of what we did on this mini tour was look at the past dollars that we brought to Delaware, like through the CARES Act, for PPP loans that allowed some of these businesses to keep going. Another was a small business we visited that was a farm. And that, she said if she had not had those resources, she might have had to close. And so looked at what we did in the past during this pandemic, but also talked about the potential for the future. We, in the American Rescue Plan, brought $108 million to Delaware for childcare. That's one of those things, and that's still not enough to cover all the needs that are out there. But we know in this pandemic, women were the ones that ended up leaving the workplace in record numbers. They called it a she-session instead of a recession, because it was women that a lot of
time
time.
go home and take care of their children.
Exactly.
Through remote learning.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to get people to do is think of think of infrastructure a little bit differently. Not the old school. We must build our bridges and roads. That's important. But it's also access to broadband internet. Because what we learned during the pandemic is that distance learning, telehealth, telework, you needed access to broadband internet. And so that's infrastructure to me. Housing, that's infrastructure. Because that builds wealth and it allows people to live a healthy, whole life, you know, and it helps with the education of our children. And then there's the caregiving economy. All those people out there that are working, some of whom not even making minimum wage, you know, and they're the ones that we want to support and uplift. So it's infrastructure in a whole new way for the future of work.
You have to have that foundation strong to build the house.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, I love that. That's that infrastructure. You need a foundation.
It's simplistic. If you don't take care of the essentials that everyday people, especially women of color, even seniors, what they need in order to get back up and out to work, how do you expect for anything to truly get to a place of reopening and back to a quote unquote normal or new normal?
And look, even, you know, the other way to think about it is, in addition to it helping our quality of life, it helps our competitiveness as a country. I mean, many people know I've lived in different places in the world and they invest in workforce development. They invest in their infrastructure like transportation and making sure that, you know, people have access to high-speed internet. So to me, it's about our quality of life, but it's also about us as a country and being competitive in the world.
I love it. I love your message. I absolutely love what it is that you are looking to change, uplift, and how you want to empower everyone, taking care of this infrastructure so we can get back up and out. This is amazing.
It is.
right.
And with the summer coming up, what else do you have coming down the pipe?
Oh my gosh, that is
you never rest. You just always on the go. Always.
Well, you know, it's so funny. The summer, like, first of all, it's here.
It is.
You know, and secondly, I haven't really thought about like beyond making sure that we get up and down the state, because August is a great month for us because we're out of session, but we're in our local districts, in our areas, and we're able, so I hope to be like going to a town near you and you and you, in a neighborhood near you, you and you. And then, you know, really just focusing on these three pillars that for me is about this year. Recover. We got to recover from this pandemic. We got to recover economically. Rebuilding. And I love that Build Back Better. I got a bill called Open Back Better that's like retrofitting our buildings for energy efficiency and climate. And so I'll be, you know, rebuilding. That's an important part. That's where the infrastructure is as well. And then the last piece is restoration. I feel like we're in a moment where people are just, like I said, like, that's why mental health is so important to me. We got to take care of our spirits, our health, our wellness, and we got to restore faith in each other. That, you know, for some of us, there never was that faith in each other, and so we got to build that. But in order for us to deal with the issues that are so important, it is going to take all of us recognizing that we're connected, whether we want to be or not. We are connected, and you know, you guys know I got into this after the unexpected passing of my husband. And when Charles died on his deathbed, I was like, why are we here? What is this all about? And clearly the Spirit said, it's about love. If we love each other, you don't want to see people homeless. If you love each other, you don't want them to not be able to breathe the air or drink the water. You don't want them to be shot. You know, this purpose on this planet is about love. Love yourself, love each other, especially the people you don't love. Love the planet. And if you believe in God like I do, love God. That's it.
And that's why we love you.
That's it.
That's why we love you, because you lead with love
It's
and
all
do
about
everything about service unto others.
And it ain't easy. Like, love is not mushy, squishy. No, that stuff is hard. It's radical to like
going
love.
beyond your feelings and still extending grace and kindness and love.
And that's the biggest part, extending grace.
Exactly. So, love you guys.
Love you
too.
too. Thank you so much for
being
sharing
Love you
time with us
all.
today.
Yeah.